And as Dr. Paul said,
Dr. Paul. States are talked about in the Constitution, and they have restrictions. They can't print money in the Constitution, that they can only use gold and silver as legal tender.
Gold and silver have been money forever, and they are the ones constitutionally that the state should be issuing the gold and silver, and so that's shifting.
Unlock the secrets to safeguarding your financial future in a world of uncertainty. Join Lynette Zhang as she delves into the frontline battles for sound money sweeping across states like Alaska to Tennessee. From protecting your purchasing power to reshaping monetary policies, this isn't just about gold and silver, it's about your freedom. Stay tuned as we decode the significance of these legislative moves and uncover how they'll shape our financial landscape. Don't miss out, because what you learn today could change your tomorrow.
Where we are in the state's battle for converting and legalizing gold and silver as legal tender. And we're going to start with one of my favorite people, which is Dr. Ron Paul, and what he had to say about it.
Issues the states are talked about in the Constitution, and they have restrictions. They can't print money, but they also have been told in the Constitution that they can only use gold and silver as legal tender. So the responsibility is on the states to follow the rules, and that meant nobody was supposed to use anything other than silver, gold, and gold as legal tender. But we've had a mess. It's gotten worse. It started in 1913. There was a sort of a climactic end in 1971, but the problems have continued, and if you look at some of the charts, things have been really rocky since 71. With the destruction of the value of the money. Since 1971, we've lost 95% of the value of the dollar. And the tragedy there is that the average person, the middle class, gets wiped out. Austrian economics teaches that if you destroy the currency, you will destroy the middle class. And people who will get the money that the government prints, which they shouldn't be allowed to do, goes into the pockets of the bankers and the corporations. And when the people get the money, their prices go up, and they wonder why they're getting behind.
So that's where we are. I mean, they've taken gold and silver out of the monetary system, but it looks like it's coming back in. Let's focus just on the states, because the states are supposed to be supporting the individual. And then the federal government, this was originally, was supposed to support the states, which are supposed to support the individual. That whole thing has been flip-flopped around, and it's the individual now that is really tasked with supporting the federal government. But that's not what our founders had in mind. And as Dr. Paul said, gold and silver have been money forever, and they are the ones constitutionally that the state should be issuing the gold and silver, and so that's shifting. But as he also Dr. Paul also states, if you're for less government, you want sound money. The people who want big government, they don't want sound money. They want to deceive you and commit fraud, perception management. They want to print the money. They want a monopoly. They want to get you conditioned, which we are. Most people are very conditioned, as our schools have conditioned us to the point where deficits don't matter. Really? And that's what we've been told forever. So this is a deficit tracker. And let's just kind of see where we are, because there was 2020 when we all know about the cerveza crisis, right? And you can see that the deficits really took off in March. That's 2021, which was a little bit better, but not yet. Everything was shut down, and they were printing money like crazy to push out. And then we have 2024. I think it's quite telling and very interesting that starting out this year, we are higher in deficit spending, and we are just below 2021. So I can't tell you what the rest of the year is going to look like, but they have this money printing machine, and they don't have really any other tools, interest rates and money printing. And every time they do that, the value of what is already out there has gone down. So one of our wonderful viewers asked, please update us about the 14 plus states legislating gold and silver as money, and that's what we're doing. So what you see here is anything in blue, which this is just recently passed, so that's pending. The green has already legalized, and it's not passed yet in those red states, but there are a number of states and a growing number of states that are in the process of passing legislation. I hope this picks up steam because we need it to. But what I also think is that there are 23 U.S. states are currently developing bills and regulations that allow citizens to use silver and gold as legal tender. So there is a growing movement. The state laws declaring the shift of gold and silver currency would eliminate capital gains taxes on sales of gold and silver in states that accept the two metals as legal tender. Now, we are not talking about the federal government because, again, the federal government uses taxes and fees to nudge you in the direction that they want to nudge you. But even if you're having to pay taxes, honestly, that's better than ending up with a big fat bupkis, with a big fat nothing. But because gold and silver and the accumulation of gold and silver, this is one of the reasons, there's so many reasons, but one of the reasons it's so important, it threatens the central bank's monopoly. Let's threaten their monopoly. How is it that we've agreed to let them get away with this? What does that do to benefit us? It destroys the middle class. It doesn't do anything to benefit us, but it certainly is wealth transfer. And creating that inflation when they sit there and say, I don't know what's creating inflation. Yes, they do. If they're that dumb, they should not be in those positions of power. But they can't let you know the truth. And you've got to understand a big part of their job is to lie and convince you that they're doing their best for your behalf. But I think we should know, and we should have seen by now, it's just not so. So we're going to go into some specifics, but Alaska passes the bill to make gold and silver legal tender because it is the state's job to protect its citizens. Arizona. So what I also found as I was going through this is even in those states like Arizona that made gold and silver as legal tender. Well, that was back in 2017, that video that you were watching Dr. Paul make. But they are also upgrading their positions. So in this particular case, now we know that Texas has a gold depository. Arizona Senate committee passes a bill to establish a bullion depository and transactional gold-backed currency. So this is evolving even in those states that originally passed it, right? Georgia bill would take another step toward treating gold and silver as money. Idaho, Indiana, in Kansas, right? Senate bill seeks use of gold and silver as Kansas legal tender for routine expenditures. So the states are moving to protect their ability to spend and keep their freedoms. This is exactly the same reason why you need to do this as well. Wisconsin and sales taxes. There are many states, most of the states actually, that do not have sales tax on gold and silver purchases. That's not true with all of them, but that is true with many. What I like on this one was responding to an overwhelming groundswell of grassroots pressure. Community. If we come together, we can make a difference. Governor Tony Evers today signed a bill into law that secures Wisconsin's place as the 44th state in America to end sales taxes on the purchase of precious metals. So wherever they're at in the process, this is evolving, and I love this groundswell of grassroots pressure. This is huge. And we're looking at it in many places where there are bullion vaults that are being set up statewide for the custody of gold and silver and the ability to use it for the states to use it, but also for the individuals to use it. So this coming together of community on a state-by-state basis and this groundswell, that's everything. Because more and more states want their reserves held in gold and silver because they know what the central banks are doing with this. I mean, that is their job. So Tennessee, and again, they evolve. So first they authorize the state gold and silver reserves, and then they pass a bill to make gold and silver legal tender. Can you see how this is evolving even inside of the states, right? The public wants this as well. Now, even on a federal level, a lot of these bills are passed. I mean, Dr. Paul has been pushing for that since 1971 to bring back the gold standard and make it more legal tender and more fair form. But at the state, at the federal level, these bills are introduced. It's hard to get them through. But we've seen it recently with the marijuana laws where the states took up all the marijuana laws and made it legal. And then, against the federal government. So there's a battle here brewing between the states and the federal government. We have to be part of that battle because we have to win this one. This one for gold and silver to be classified as legal tender, remove that taxability on money.
As we conclude our journey through the evolving state battles for sound money, remember, knowledge is power. Stay informed, stay empowered, and stay ahead of the curve. If you found this discussion valuable, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more insights from Lynette Zhang and our team. Together, let's navigate the ever-changing financial terrain with confidence. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay curious, and stay financially empowered. Thank you.